welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, my name is Tepi, also known as Momo, and if you're a returning Sabi, the love of my life, thank you so much for coming back. And if you're watching this video without subscribing, please do hit that subscribe button because we need to get to 500 subscribers soon. Anyways, I'm back, guys, and as you guys can see with the title of the video, that I'm not back with the vlog, but I am back with the sit down video. And interesting, right? I am here to talk about my endometriosis journey and just to give you guys an update as to where I am in terms of my health. I think for those that don't know, or rather those that are new here, I will just explain briefly. So I have a condition called endometriosis. Endometriosis is a condition that most women experience, specifically women, where the tissue that is supposed to be inside the uterus grows outside and it causes a lot of complications. So that's basically it, and I am just here to update you guys as to what's been happening, where I'm at in terms of my health and everything. Well, I've tried to vlog in the hospital, but then I just failed, guys, because at the end of the day I had to rest the majority of my time, and I honestly did not have the time to vlog. I was in so much pain, I couldn't walk nor do anything, so it was very hard for me to vlog. But I just recorded a few clips here and there. I can just safely say that I feel a lot better. It's 1 week and 3 days post operation and I feel a lot better, even though I still have those surgical pains. I still can't like do the activities that I usually do, no bend over to pick up something on the floor or something like that, but overall I feel a lot better, guys. And I just want to start by saying that what a journey it's been for me, for my family, for my loved ones, for the people that are close to me. I mean, experiencing this, guys, has been, I don't want to say hilarious, but it has been so tough, but I'm just not here to blame about that. So when I first started my YouTube channel, I remember mentioning that okay, I have endometriosis, and I remember mentioning that it was on stage 2 specifically, right? So if you don't know, or rather if you're not aware, endometriosis has stages. So it has stage 1, 2, 3 and 4. Stage 1 being the minimal stage and stage 4 being the severe stage. And I think because of my diagnosis that happened later on in my life, whereas I've been sick for the longest of time, by the time I got diagnosed, my endometriosis was already on stage 2. I want to refrain from saying my endometriosis. I want to say the endometriosis, right? Okay, so the endometriosis was already on stage 2, and stage 2 being the mild stage where you do have endometriosis, but now you are starting to experience cysts as well, right? Cysts on your ovary, and also having endometriosis growing on other parts of your body, like your womb, your tubes, or your ovary itself. Okay, so when I first started this journey, I was on stage 2, and along the line I got sick. I got like so sick that the pains were just so unbearable, and when I then switched doctors, I then found out that the endometriosis was already on stage 3. It's just that I guess my previous doctor wasn't aware of that. And I suggest that people that would be diagnosed with endometriosis would rather be treated by endometriosis specialists or fertility specialists, because at least they know exactly what endometriosis is, and they know how to treat it, and they know how to better maintain the pain going forward, rather than like a gynecologist specialist that just deals with babies and other reproductive system problems. You understand? I hope I'm making sense. The endometriosis was already on stage 3 when I switched doctors, and I just want to cover a few things, right? I firstly want to explain the stages of endometriosis from stage 1 to stage 4. I also want to explain the treatment and the management that comes with it. Also want to explain briefly the emotional side of having to live with it. Right, so as I did mention earlier on that endometriosis has 4 stages. So stage 1 being the minimal stage, which means that you just have endometriosis maybe growing in one part of your body. For instance, if it's going to grow on your fallopian tube, then it's mostly on your fallopian tube and nowhere else. So basically it's just growing on one part of the body, right? And then you move on to stage 2 endometriosis, where now it's growing, it's starting to spread, or rather it's starting to grow on other parts of your body. At the same time, it is causing cysts. So then that's where you start experiencing ovarian cysts, which are cysts on your ovary. For those that don't know what a cyst is a sac, yeah, I can put it like that, is a sac that has fluid inside and that grows like on your ovary. So you get to have ovarian cysts, and obviously the pain is not like before. Now the pain is starting to escalate and it's becoming more intense. And then you're moving on to stage 3 endometriosis. Stage 3 is the moderate stage, where now you are experiencing endometriosis growing almost everywhere. You can have endometriosis growing on your ovary, on your fallopian tube, under your womb, or on top of your womb, on your intestine. No, not intestine, but yeah, probably intestines as well, you know. So there's like a lot of implantation of the tissue on your body, and then that's where you start experiencing cysts, ovarian cysts, that are called endometriomas. So basically endometriomas are chocolate-like cysts. The reason why they're saying they're chocolate-like is because they're not only containing liquid inside, but it's liquid that has blood, and therefore when you do a sonar scan, you can actually see uguti, the liquid, not the liquid, the fluid inside the sac is not just plain, or rather just transparent. It is chocolate-like because it is mixed with blood. So that's when you start experiencing endometriomas on your ovary, and then the surgeries become, you know, intense to the point where maybe they have to shrink your ovary, or they have to do this, or they have to do that. So that's stage 3 endometriosis. Stage 4 endometriosis, which is the severe stage, it is where now the endometriosis has affected some of your reproductive system as a whole, or rather some of the parts of your body. For instance, maybe if it grows maybe on your fallopian tube, then that's where it starts to block, you know, stuff that will have to pass through the fallopian tube. For instance, just like an egg, if you were to release an egg, then the egg does not get released. Instead, it goes like, I want to explain this so that you understand. So when you have severe endometriosis, right, you don't just get normal periods or menstrual cycle. Instead, the blood that is supposed to be going straight down to that lining, right, that wall, going straight down to come out and become periods, it's not. Instead, it goes vice versa. Now the blood goes up. Yes, I know it's hilarious, guys, but the blood goes up, and then, hey, I don't know what happens there, but it just forms like a form of like blockage or whatever. So now the egg can't be released. So majority of the time you can't then ovulate properly when you have endometriosis. And stage 4 is the severe stage, where now there's probably a need for the fallopian tube to be fastened, or to take out your womb, or to now have one ovary taken out, or just experiencing endometriosis everywhere, on your intestines, on your vagina, on your lungs, everywhere, you understand? So I have explained the stages. So now I want to start on my journey, right, from where I was to where I am right now. So I want to first start with the surgeries that I've had, right? So counting the surgery that I had recently, I have had 4 surgeries in total. And my first surgery I had in 2021, when I was officially diagnosed with endometriosis. So March 2021, I was diagnosed with endometriosis. And just a disclaimer, the only way to diagnose endometriosis is when you undergo a surgery called laparoscopic surgery. Unfortunately, whether you do a sonar scan, whether you do an MRI, well, maybe an MRI can pick up one thing or two, but whether you do a sonar scan or just a normal x-ray, it will never pick up endometriosis. So basically they make incisions, probably 3 or 4 incisions, where one incision has a camera that will then show the doctors the inside of your body to see what is happening, or rather where the endometriosis is located exactly. And then they try, and it's either they're gonna burn it or they're gonna cut it off. And that's the first surgery that I had. And again in 2021 September, I had another laparoscopic surgery. And just so I should just mention, Huti, a laparoscopic surgery has its own disadvantages. Just like I said, they can either cut the endometriosis or burn it. And as soon as they burn something inside of you, whether it's endometriosis, whether it's cancer, whether it's what, that burning sensation causes adhesions. Adhesions is skin, right? Skin that gets attached somewhere. So for instance, if my endometriosis was on my womb and they had to burn the endometrial tissue or whatever, the left, or maybe a few weeks later, not a few weeks, a few months later, when it's starting to heal, now it forms inyama, right? I want to put it in English so that everyone can understand. It forms like skin, right? Skin that will attach to maybe either my intestines or my gallbladder or my bladder or wherever, and that will then cause you to go for another surgery to separate the skin from where it's attached, right? And that's what happened with me, because in March I had endometriosis diagnosis through laparoscopic and they burned it, and in September I had to go to cut off the adhesions, which is another surgery, a laparoscopic surgery as well. So that's what happened. Not because I then had to do 2 endometriosis surgeries in 1 year. No, that was not the case. And then in 2022, okay, I got better afterwards, because I remember my doctor then gave me some treatment to just maintain the endometriosis. And the treatment for endo is Vicen. So I'm going to place the box here so that you guys can see how the tablet looks like. Vicen is basically a 28 treatment, a 28 days treatment, because the pills are 28, 7, 14, 20, 28. Yes, the pills are 28 in the box, and you take 1 pill each day, and advisably like at the same time, right? So I was put on the Vicen treatment for endometriosis for almost about a year. And I remember 2022 July, I then had pains. So you can count. September, I had my second laparoscopic surgery, right? October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June, July. So this 10 months, right? So in June, I was still taking the treatment and I had pains again. And unfortunately, I had to go back to the hospital for now my 3rd laparoscopic surgery for endometriosis. And the reason why, I think it's because, excuse me, I was diagnosed later on, as I have mentioned before. I had pains from grade 8 until later on after matric. That's when I was diagnosed. And mind you, probably the doctor made a mistake by just removing the one that she saw. But probably there were other parts of my body that had endometriosis that she then could not see, and therefore she just left that. And I think that is why then I had to go for my 3rd surgery in July 2022, because the endometriosis was growing somewhere else. And I think by that time it was already on stage 3, because come to think of it, comparing the pain from 2021 to 2022, there's a lot of difference. It was too much. I then did my surgery in 2022 July, and then I felt better afterwards, I don't want to lie. So now let's talk in terms of medication and maintenance, right? So I was still kept on the Vicen treatment, which is for endometriosis, right? And then the doctor then introduced to me contraceptives. So for those that know, or rather my girlies that have PCOS or that suffer from cysts will know that contraceptives are best suited to maintain cysts and to also maintain like a menstrual cycle, or not to be heavy, or rather not to go at all, so that it can just cut off the pain. So that's what was introduced to me, contraceptives. I first started on years. So years was treating me good. It was very, like, I wasn't sick. So years is a pill, right? I wasn't sick. I wasn't, feeling anything. And the reason why I had to go for specifically years was because it was a bit not lighter, but it wasn't as extreme. So it wasn't gonna kick in my body and it was just gonna cause a mess. No, at least it was, a starter that was good for me, like a dosage amount that was good. Let me just put it in that way. So I started with years for about 6 months, and honestly it treated me good. My skin was glowing, everything was fine, until it did not work anymore, because the cysts then came back after 6 months. And then my doctor changed me from years to Diane, which is another contraceptive. Okay, we tried Diane for like about 8 months, and it really helped, because then the cysts were maintained. I don't think I had cysts in that duration of me taking that pill. I did not have cysts at all, right? Okay, sharp. And then in the midst of taking contraceptives, so I'm now taking contraceptives, I am also taking treatment. On top of those two, I am then taking painkillers. Hi, guys, painkillers, I can't even mention. You can think of any painkiller that you can think of, I've taken it. And mainly because my pains are so bad that I thought that the painkillers were not working. Even when we switched to others and others, this painkiller to that painkiller to that painkiller, nothing was working for me. That's how bad and how intense my pain was. I moved, guys, you name the painkillers. I moved from one painkiller to another until I officially got Sinaleve. So Sinaleve is a blue and white painkiller. It's like an antibiotic. That was the only thing that could work for me. And besides Sinaleve, I then utilized heat treatment, which was my hot water bottle. It does wonders. I am telling you guys, that's one thing that does wonders for me, and it's still working for me till this day. So I can say that the painkiller that I'm taking right now, which is the Sinaleve tablets, they are working for me. And I can say that the birth control pills, they did work for some time until they did not. So I don't really necessarily know, but it differs from person to person. Because right now I don't really suffer from cysts, but it was mostly endometriosis, right? Hi guys, I remember like vlogging and I would tell you guys that I'm not okay, I'm not feeling good, this and this is happening. And I remember going to my doctor, I was so anxious, and I remember going in that room and I told him that something is wrong. He was like, what do you mean something is wrong? I was like, something is wrong, because the pain that I'm feeling right now is just the pain that I felt even before I did my surgeries, like any of my surgeries. He was like, what do you mean? I'm like, that. And then he then checked me up. I did blood tests. I had to do the sono scan. Well, I do sono scans all the time on my doctor's appointments. And then I did all the scans that you can think of. And then he then suggested that I should go and do an MRI scan, right? Because now he wanted to see Uguti, should there be endometriosis spreading somewhere else? Where exactly is it? I then did an MRI scan, guys. Oh, the worst experience. I think I've done an MRI scan before, but this one I had to be under that machine for 2 hours, if not 2.5 hours. And mind you, if you haven't done an MRI scan before, you literally sit still. So you lie still on your back like this, with your hands like this and your legs like this the whole time. The only thing that you do is just to breathe. You don't move, you don't do anything, guys. You stay stay still, and that was very uncomfortable. Like when I went out, my back was hurting. But then I had to do an MRI scan. I got my results back, and indeed the results did mention that there is endometriosis growing somewhere else. Mind you guys, at that time I'm still on stage 3. Well, in my mind, in my head, because that's what I was told. And I did not take that well, because I was like, I think we ask you when your doctor is about to say you have to go for another surgery, because I think at that time I've tried all the medication, all the treatment and stuff, and the way that the pain bounced back, it told me, because one thing about me, I've learned to listen to my body and to understand it to the point where I know when pain is just pain and when pain is just bad. So in my head I had already told myself, Uguti, I've been drinking the same painkillers that I think they work. All of a sudden they've stopped working, they're no longer working. Then it means there's a problem, because then I would experience pain even when I'm not on my periods, just on a random day. And now regularly, maybe I could say 5 times in a week. And that was crazy. On the 26th of August, I went for my surgery. And the surgery took about 4 hours and a couple of minutes. And mainly because they wanted to thoroughly remove the endometriosis. Like they were, guys, when I saw that video, because my doctor the day before, I went for my doctor's checkup 1 week post-op, and when he showed me that video, I was so shocked. Is this me? Like, I was so dead. But they made sure that they removed each and every endometriosis that was in my body. And the unfortunate part, guys, is that my endometriosis is currently on stage 4. I am not saying that I'm not thinking anything bad. I'm not trying to be negative about anything. My doctor, one thing about my doctor is that he told me, Uti, as I did mention, stages differ, right? And a person in stage 1 can have more complications than a person in stage 4. And the fact that I have not removed any of my organs, like reproductive system is still intact, everything is just okay. It's just the matter of the endometriosis growing, is good for me, because I don't have to remove my womb, I don't have to remove my ovaries, I don't have to fasten my tubes, I don't have to do anything, you understand? So that's the positive part about it. But I can't shy away from the fact that I have stage 4 endometriosis right now as I speak. So that's the update, Uguti. Right now as we stand, it's on stage 4. And one thing I would like to tell everyone is that if you were diagnosed with endometriosis or PCOS or whatever, research is very important. You have to research about what you have been diagnosed with. You have to make sure that the doctor is not telling you something that is not, or rather the doctor is not suggesting something that is not supposed to be suggested. For instance, they can't just find endometriosis in your body and then they say, we need to remove your womb, we need to cut your tubes, we need to do this, we need to do that. No, guys, your doctor needs to exhaust all his options first before they can actually come to that conclusion. And how do they come to that conclusion of having to remove certain things out of you? You then need to start doing your research. You then need to be sure of the fact that, okay, sharp, is this necessary or is this unnecessary? Because one thing I can tell my girlies is that if you do have endometriosis, even if they can remove your womb, even if they can remove your ovaries, even if they can remove anything, this particular thing happens outside of the uterus. I don't know if you guys understand me. Endometriosis happens outside of the uterus. Therefore, even if they can remove the uterus, it's still going to be there because it's outside. It grows outside of the uterus. It's not like it's something that grows inside of the uterus or inside of your womb or whatever. Everything happens outside, and therefore no matter what they can do, it's still going to be there. So I don't necessarily want people to agree to their doctors doing what we call, yes, I don't want my girlies to undergo what we call hysterectomy. Yes, hysterectomy. Hysterectomy is the removal of your womb, your what. It's pointless, guys. Yes, maybe it can come to that point if the endometriosis has damaged your womb, has damaged the ovaries, has damaged things. Then maybe they can say, okay, like for you, for your body, for your whole reproductive system not to decompose or not to to be further damaged, then that's the only option. But for endometriosis specifically, you don't have to remove your womb, you don't have to remove all of those things, because it happens outside of those things. And even if you get to that point of removing them, it's still the same thing. And I am on a journey of wanting to open a foundation specifically focusing on endometriosis, as well as womanhood, right? And the reason for this thing is because I want to raise awareness. I feel like awareness is very important, and besides raising awareness, I want our government to hear us. I was so touched and I was so sad when I saw this post about this young lady that I will post here on Instagram, where she was asking for donations to do her hysterectomy. Yes. And my heart just sank because she only needed like 18k for that, if I'm not mistaken. And with our government and everything else, she was supposed to go on social media, go to that extent to ask for money to do surgery. For me, relating to her because she has the same condition, relating to knowing how expensive surgery is. For instance, a laparoscopic surgery alone is like 30k, because I remember mine was like 29,800 and something, which is close to 30k. And that excludes hospitalization, that excludes medication, that excludes every other thing like your physios, your dietitian visits and whatnot. It excludes that. Only the laparoscopic surgery is 30k. So I could relate to her, and my heart really sank when I realized, actually our government can't even support us in things that we cannot control, like health. You understand? We have to go on social media, we have to go and ask for help, we have to go do this, we have to go do that. And guys, that is so sad. And I just don't even want to go into it because I cried. At some point I cried about that girl, and reposting her post like made me feel like jerk, because I feel like if I had the 20k, I was literally gonna send it to her. Because I know exactly how it feels. I know exactly how it feels like when the medical aid exhausts. I know when they say the medical aid has exhausted its funds. How does that feel? You can't purchase anything with the medical aid. You can't do anything with that. It's just something that you just have to, accept and be like, okay, plan B, or how do I make this work, And yeah, guys, that's basically it. That's basically what I wanted to share. Oh, also, I have questions that people ask me, and one of the questions I think was, how do I manage with the regular hospital visits, as well as the pain, because yeah, it's too much. So I'm guessing the person that asked that is a person that also maybe is form of going through pain. I would like to say that you never really cope with that. You just live with the fact that you have to go to the hospital. You have to go to see your doctor. You have to go through these hospital visits because you need to know where you stand with the health. You need all the help that you can get from your doctor. And honestly, it's not easy. I'm not gonna lie to you and say it's easy. Hospital visits are exhausting. Physically, financially, mentally, and emotionally. Like, they are very exhausting to the point where I sometimes feel like, I don't want to go there. Like, what's the point? My doctor's going to tell me the same thing all over again. But honestly, you just have to make it work for yourself. You just have to stay positive. You're not going there to receive bad news. You're just going there to make sure you are okay. And should there be anything that you have to attend to, you attend to it as quick as possible. So I don't necessarily have the straight answer to that, but all I can say is it is not easy at all. But I try by all means to make it work for me. And the reason why I cope so much is because of the support system that I have around me. My mom, my dad are my pillars of strength. My little sister, my family, my boyfriend, each and every person that I have around me is my pillar of strength. And they make me to feel like, okay, I can do this, you know. They make me feel worth going to the hospital for my visits, for my appointments, for my checkups. And with the pain, it's never easy, sis. Like, it's never easy. Sometimes I just cry. Sometimes, in order for me to cope, I just cry about it, or I just ignore the pain, drink my meds. Sometimes, hey guys, I just beat myself about it, but there's nothing I can do at the end of the day. And then the other question that I got was, how much was my surgery? I think about how much did I spend for the surgery. So as I did mention, the laparoscopic surgery can differ, right, depending on how many doctors are part of the surgery. That's number one. I was operated by 4 doctors, and mainly because of where the endometriosis was situated. But my surgeries, they ranged from 25,000 to 30,000, as far as I know right now, as far as I know. And the other question was asking me, how long does a laparoscopic surgery take to heal? Excuse me. A laparoscope takes about 4 to 6 weeks to fully heal. 4 weeks being like the minimal weeks for it to heal, like you are healed but you're not completely healed internally. And then 6 weeks being you are healed, like properly healed, where you can just go back to your normal activities. So it takes about 4 to 6 weeks to heal. And another question that I had was the laparoscopic surgery process, as well as also explaining the stage that I'm in and what it means. So I think I've already explained the stage that I'm at right now. Yeah, basically it's when now the endometriosis has spread to every other part of the body. And yeah, that's it. And then with regards to the laparoscopic surgery process, basically it's just, I think I touched a little bit on it. So you go inside theater, they obviously put anesthesia on and you sleep, and then they make 4 incisions. I actually want to show you guys. Disclaimer, if you're scared of anything that has to do with stitches and stuff, then don't look. But basically, right, this, let me stand. Oh, this is how, I don't know if you guys can see, but this is how the incisions are, right? These are the stitches. They open a few. So before I had here, if you can see my belly button there, it has stitches. But they opened 1, 2, and then they opened 3, and then they opened the 4th one. So let me sit down. Okay. So basically they make 4 incisions, and then 1 incision has a camera that goes inside and looks through each and every part, and then that's when they look at the screen and they check where the endometriosis is, and then they use the what you call those things that they used to cut and they used to burn, they use them to then cut out or take out any endometriosis that's there in your body. So that's basically what happens. And during the process, apparently they inflate your tummy. Before they start the process, they inflate your tummy with the oxygen so that it grows, so that it rises to be maybe that big. And then the main reason why they do this is because they want the organs to be separated, so that they can see clearly what is happening inside your body. So the main reason why they just inflate you with oxygen is so that the organs can be separated, and then they're able to do their job successfully, rather than if you have a flat tummy, then everything is congested and all the organs are like this, and then obviously they can't perform anything, you understand? So yeah, I think for now I'm just gonna end this here, and I would like to say to each and every girl that's watching this, that please take your pain seriously. Please don't dismiss your pain. Please don't let any doctor tell you that no, it's just period pains. There's nothing like that. Please make sure that you take care of yourselves. Please make sure that you take those pains very serious, and I mean it, guys. And yeah, should there be anything that I need to address, I will address it in my next vlog. Please comment down below with hearts to show some love. The girl is still healing at the end of the day. I love you guys so much. Please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and share the video so that it reaches other people that might need this information. I love you guys so much. I will see you guys in the next vlog. Toodles.